Welcome to the Thriving Woman Project podcast, hosted by myself, Wendy Griffith. This is the podcast for women who want to level up and thrive in all areas of your life, health, and business. Join us as we cover a range of topics, all inspiring you to thrive and not just survive. We are here to work on the project of you, because I believe the best gift you can give your family and the world is a healthy and thriving you. It's time to thrive. Hello, Thriver, and welcome to episode 4 of season 4 of the Thriving Woman Project. So today we are going to get stuck into a business episode and really talking about the digital marketing essentials that you need in order to grow a thriving online business. Now, as a digital marketing coach for women in the wellness space, this is something that I have personally had to learn, had to evolve, had to move with the times over the past 10 years. And just to set the scene, I actually have a background in corporate marketing. It's what I studied at university alongside psychology, which is very helpful for marketing. Just FYI for anyone who might be listening in that younger generation. And so for me, when I was in my corporate marketing career, I could already see, this is going back 12 years ago now, that things were starting to change and that attitudes were starting to shift and that we were moving into this online space. So fast forward a couple of years from my corporate career into starting my own online business, I really started to learn all the sort of different methods of reaching out to people, but it was still very, very heavily based on that sort of in-person networking, referrals, etc., which is fantastic, don't get me wrong, and that still has its place in this day and age. However, I started to recognize that people were moving more so to the online space. Social media was really starting to grow. When I look back on my sort of earlier Facebook posts, it's so cringy how we used to sort of update our status and do all the things. And nowadays, there's so many fantastic options around selling on social media and all sorts, which we'll get stuck into a little bit today. So for me, it really was around 3 years ago when the world as we know it changed forever. We were plunged into the pandemic. And my business at that point was 98% in person. And I very, very quickly had to pivot to using online methods. So as well as sort of, Googling and doing all the things, I actually enrolled in some digital marketing courses just to really bring my skills up to date. And that's the thing, things are always moving. So I just really want to encourage you, if you are a business owner, that you always want to make sure that you're staying on the front foot with things, that you are open, that you're keeping an open mindset. Now, that's not to say that if suddenly you've got a plan and then, TikTok comes along and now you feel like you need to be dancing on TikTok if that's not your style. But it is just being conscious of, the way things are moving. So, for example, 2 years ago, people were posting static images on Instagram. Nowadays, it's all about the video content. So it's always about evolving. So keeping the common principles of marketing, but how we move them along into the ever innovative online world. And that's really what we're going to get stuck into today. So what I do now day to day is really help business owners really make sense of their marketing message, who they're talking to, their brand, their niche, growing their online communities, nurturing that community, and all the things that go with doing that. So that's really what we're going to focus on today. We're going to get really stuck in to what those essentials are. And I really have a framework that I work with my clients, specifically in the Thriving Biz Club, where we work through these different sort of modules of what you need to have in place to really have your digital marketing ducks in a row as such. But before we get stuck into that, I'm just going to pose the question to you, because this is a really important one to know. What are your goals for your business? Because I don't believe that you can create a marketing and content plan without knowing what your business strategy is. And this is where I see so many business owners, specifically as well, if they may be running a business alongside maybe a day-to-day job that they're doing. And so they perhaps not applying sort of the principles that someone who's maybe just focused solely on running a business is thinking about to their business. So it's thinking about, what is it that you're wanting to do, to sell, to make money from? Because that is ultimately going to drive what you're going to need in terms of lead generation, what outreach methods you're going to need to have, how big your audience size is going to need to be. And we're going to touch on that because that is a big one for people that they just miss such a trick on. And thinking about, what you're actually doing with your business. What are you actually selling? And you'll be surprised when I ask people this question, how they sort of look at me and they're like, well, I don't know, I'm just, I'm putting out content because that's what they've been told. All the free stuff online says add value, put out content, but actually not, well, what to do with that and what does that mean and how does that grow your community? So that's really what we're going to really get stuck into today. And I'm really passionate about this and how, to build your community, to build your content, you need to understand what it is that you're actually selling. So take me as an example. I have a couple of different offerings. I am dual passionate, very proudly, hello ADHD, and that I'm a health coach and I have a health coaching practice and business. And alongside that, I have a wellness business with Arbonne, which provides the recommendations around supplements, etc., to my clients. But I also have a digital marketing agency. And my core offering through that business is the Thriving Biz Club. So that is a program that I put together, pre-recorded modules, and then there's the ongoing month-to-month support that people get. And that is something that I can offer out to people. It's something that when I'm creating content, I'm thinking about, right, what are the pain points of people? What are they struggling with? Thinking back to myself 3 years ago, like, what did I not know how to do? And that's always the thing with your marketing. It's getting into the heads of your ideal clients. But before we do that, we need to think about our audience. Who is that audience? What does that look like? Now, this is where people get a bit stuck because they think, well, I can help everybody. But the thing is, if you're marketing to everybody, you're marketing to nobody, literally. This is why you will see a lot of people nowadays really niching down. So yes, I can help anybody who wants to grow an online business, but my speciality really lies in helping wellness business owners with how to build their business online. So it's really getting specific and clear. And that way I can speak very specifically to the pain points of that audience that I'm serving. Now, who is that audience? I would always say, go back to thinking where you were 2 to 3 years ago, even 5 years ago, maybe even 1 year ago. What were the things that you were struggling with in your life? People nowadays, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of incredible teachers out there, people who are creating courses, launching sort of online programs, offering incredible value, but they seem just too far ahead in the distance, too unattainable. And so really the value that we can bring in the online space is thinking about somebody that maybe was where we were 2 to 3 years ago, because we're just that bit further ahead of where they are. And we can really help them on that journey while, being aspirational, but at the same time, still relatable. We're still going through the journey ourselves, but we're teaching people because we're that bit further on in the journey. So think about what that looks like to you. Maybe for you, I was talking to a client the other day who really wants to help people flourish in their 60s. She's 62 years old. She has this really vibrant, fulfilled life. And she really wants to help people not get stuck in that trap of, oh, I'm just waiting for retirement, basically. She wants people to go out, reinvent themselves, add fun and fulfillment to their lifestyle. So that's really what she is encouraging people to do, to flourish in their 60s. So she's targeting that audience of people maybe in their late 50s who are thinking, oh, what am I going to do with the next decade of my life? That is her sweet spot of who she is serving in terms of her audience. So it's really thinking about what your audience looks like and who you're serving and thinking about the value you can bring to them. But then it's also thinking about your audience size. Now, this is not your social media followers, unfortunately. Sorry. Especially if you have a lot of them. And I don't have a lot of them, and that's a whole other subject that we'll need to get onto in a different podcast episode. But really it's thinking about who's actually on your email list, who has actually put their hand up and said, yes, I want to engage with this person. I want to hear from you on a regular basis. And I want to build that relationship with you and your community. That is where the gold lies. Because did you know that you will only convert around 1 to 2% of your total email list? And another cool fact is that you will make about $1, call it £1. I know it's not quite exactly equal, but you'll make around £1 for every person that is on your email list every month. So when you think of your email size list right now, that could be 0, that could be 50, it could be 500, 1,000, 2,000. You'll see that will translate. It's really cool. And it's thinking about, okay, so if I'm only converting people on my email list, how do I get people from my cold audience, which is that audience that sits over on social media where you don't really know who is actually engaging with your content, who is reading it, until you actually get them engaging into your DMs, onto your email list. So typically business owners, I'll see, it's this 80-20 Pareto law. 80% of that revenue that we're going to create in our business is really going to come from that 20% of like our hot audience. That's the audience that when we put out an offer to our email list, they're like, yes, please, I want that now, let's go. But what we tend to do is we tend to spend, only about 20% of our time on our hot audience, another maybe 30% on our warmer audience, so people that we maybe sort of struck up a conversation with. And we spend, over 50% of our time working in that cold audience online, posting the social media reels and putting out blogs and all the things that we think and told that we need to do. But actually, that is not what's going to create the here and now revenue. So if you're someone right now who needs to generate income in your business, you need to get close to that hot audience. If you think about sort of a circle with those 3 layers, like the epicenter is that hot audience. Those are the people that you can send personal messages to, pick up the phone, outreach, get business and income into your bank account. And the biggest thing around this, I really see, is managing your mindset. So much of building an audience and your business comes down to your mindset. Being an entrepreneur is a mindset. You have to see things as opportunities all the time because you're going to have that up and down. Some days where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm smashing it. I am the business. And other days where you're like, oh my gosh, no one loves me. I'm just going to go back and get a real job. And so really it is about managing that mindset. But if you put the fundamental digital tools in place to support you and you're continually adding people into that funnel, so that wider pool of people, and a funnel is just essentially a fancy way of moving people from basically not knowing you to hopefully ultimately at the end of the line buying from you. And that process, everything in between, that is your funnel as such. So if you have systems and tools set up to support you in filling that funnel, nurturing that audience and delivering out sales at the end, you absolutely are moving your business forward every day because the content that you're putting out, the marketing plan that you have is really designed to just keep filling the funnel, keep moving people along. Because when you consider that conversion, that 1% to 2%, 98% of people are not going to buy from you. And when you can get cool with that, when you can understand that, you're like, okay, so my job as a business owner is to show up, make sure that my offer is clear, that it's speaking to people, that it's resonating, and that it's bringing people into my world every day. So I mentioned earlier that I have this framework that I work with in the Thriving Biz Club, which I'm really going to share with you today. And it comes down to having these fundamentals. First up, a defined brand. Now, with this, I'm not talking about like fancy logos and pretty images and all that kind of thing. A brand goes so much deeper than that. A brand is who you are, who you speak to. How does it make your audience feel about you? What does it make them think about you? And what does it inspire them to take action on? So maybe there's just some questions that you can jot down or listen back to this episode, make some notes. Really, my goal for you to come away from this episode is with some actionable tools and tracks to run on that you can go out and really start bossing your business. The next is thinking about what your offering is. And this is where I see so many people fall down because they actually don't know what they're offering. They're just kind of throwing stuff at a wall, hoping it will stick, just seeing what lands, just testing stuff out. So they're not getting any traction or sales because people don't know what it is that they're actually selling. So it's being very clear. And I'm a big one for this. My Thriving Biz Club ladies will laugh at me because I'm always just like, reverse engineer it. So what are you offering? And then we reverse engineer the process. What is the journey they go on? How is it that we're nurturing them? What does that funnel look like? And then that way we can track back to, okay, so what is the content that you're putting out there? How is that attracting and growing your audience? So the next step is thinking about your funnel. Now, this doesn't have to be fancy and automated. Like certainly down the line, that's something that you can aspire to. But at the very least, it's having a process. We don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems, which is one of my favorite quotes by James Clear, who wrote the book Atomic Habits, which I'd highly recommend you check out if you haven't already. And he speaks about this, a system is something that you will do consistently every day. So if you're not a fan of tech and fancy systems, like you can just track the stuff in a spreadsheet, track those conversations, that engagement. But for me, I like to think I'm inherently lazy. And so I like to take the easy route and make sure that things are automated. So I have a number of lead magnets. So they designed to attract people to me through value that I offer. So I have things like my recipe book, my digital marketing masterclass, my perimenopause workshop, all different things that lead to people giving me their email address, coming into my world. I deliver that lead magnet to them. I provide some additional value through a follow-up sequence, email sequence that I deliver to them. And then they go into my weekly mailing list, which is something that I love writing every week, giving value, really nurturing my audience, and just continuing to build that relationship with them. So it's thinking about what is a pain point that you can solve? For me, certainly with my recipe book, that whole what's for dinner every night, like that is just the bane of adulting as far as I'm concerned, thinking about what to make every night. So I've created my recipe ebook, with 40 healthy, quick, family-friendly, easy recipes to make during the week, with the bonus of some meal planning templates in there. Because I promise you, do 10 minutes of meal planning, you'll save yourself at least 2 to 3 hours a week in mental load and stress of what to eat. And that provides an instant hit of transformation for them. It gives them instant relief. And it's that kind of that acknowledgement of, oh my goodness, if this is like the free value that Wendy provides, can you imagine the paid for stuff that she provides? So it's thinking about what that funnel looks like for you. Then it is that list building. So that ties in with the funnel piece. And I've already addressed that a bit. So thinking about adding people into your list, adding people into your funnel. How are you doing that? What is your mechanism for doing that? I love using a system called Flowdesk, and I will link to that in the show notes. I'll give you a link to a free trial. And then actually, if you decide to go ahead with using it, a 50% discount off your first year. Just make sure you click the pay monthly option on that. And so in that, my clients can set up their forms where people input their name and email address. They can create their lead magnets with templates using AI and Magic Write and Canva, create that tool, download it, and then upload it into a workflow within Flowdesk that will deliver. So it triggers, someone enters the email address, you assign it into the segment that they go into, they get the workflow sequence delivered to them, some follow-up emails, and then you can add them into your weekly email list, which you can obviously set to go out every week. So that is just a way that I personally nurture people, build that know, like, and trust me factor. And then the social media side of things is where you're taking people from that cold audience, nurturing them, encouraging them to engage with your content through your funnels, your lead magnet, and then bringing them into your world so that you can continue to nurture them. Because, a sales cycle can take anywhere from, instantly, which is very rare, by the way, to up to a year for people to purchase from you. So it's just being really conscious of that journey. And so this is where the continual nurturing of your email list is so, so pivotal. The other thing that people grossly underestimate is building community. They used to say content is king, but that's not true. Community is king. Never have we been a more connected world online, but never have we felt more disparate and more lonely. So building communities, and it's why I've created the Thriving Women Project as a brand, because I want to inspire women to thrive in all aspects of their health, their life, their businesses and careers. And so really that's the umbrella under which I have my offerings. It's the umbrella under which I create content. It's the Facebook community. It's the podcast community. It's my weekly email. It's all around building the community around helping women to thrive in all areas of their life. So it's really thinking about, what is your community? Who is your community? How have you created that? Or what is that going to be? And what value and community can you bring to the world? And really, when you start to get all these pieces fitting together, it actually becomes like super fun, and you can gamify it as well. So for me, when I go on to post anything on social media, I did it today. I wasn't feeling particularly inspired, but I went back in my phone, pulled together some videos that I'd taken of me making some crispy air fryer potatoes. Anyone else an absolute air fryer fiend? So excited for Black Friday. I'm definitely going to get myself another one. That for me is, something I could share, sort of easy midweek, crispy air fryer potatoes, midweek meals, share that on my social media, and also followed up with a call to action, a very strong call to action around download my recipe ebook. It's going to give you healthy inspiration, meal planners, et cetera, And that was something I could then share on my stories. I shared it on my different platforms this morning, 30 minutes of marketing activity, business development. And I've already had 4 people join my email list today. And I just know that if I'm doing that kind of daily activity, adding people into my funnel, into my email list, I know that eventually they're going to sort themselves out to where they need to be in my world. But they are going to be a part of my community. They are going to be invited to listen to my podcast, engage with my Facebook community, download my other resources, buy my courses, whatever it is that I'm offering, but all the while underpinned by the fact that I am giving them tremendous value with that. Because I really believe that you all listening to this podcast deserve to grow a healthy and thriving business that you enjoy and that generates great profits, because that's really what it's about. There's no point in doing all these things that people tell you to do and actually it's just not hitting the mark for you. Now, I'm going to caveat this by saying there is always an element of you pushing yourself slightly out of your comfort zone with things. But as I say, if you're not someone who wants to show up and dance on TikTok, don't do it. Create content that resonates with you. Maybe I've got another client. She's like, oh my goodness, I hate social media, but I love listening to podcasts and I love talking and I love writing emails. And that's what she has focused on with her business. And as a result of doing things that put her in a state of joy, her business is thriving as a result. So that's really what I'm about, is really helping you unlock your unique voice, your offering, what it is that you want to bring to the world, and then helping you, create a business and a marketing plan and strategy that really fits with you and your life and what you want to do in terms of your goals for your business. And so really, this is just where I love working in the Thriving Biz Club. And I know you hear me talking about it on episodes, but that's because I'm so passionate about the power of this community that we've built. It's so much more than just the framework that I teach you in terms of the core digital marketing essentials. It's about the accountability. It's about the community. It's about the inspiration, the encouragement. On that group, we're always high-fiving each other for the different things and sharing our wins and inspirations, things that haven't worked, things that have worked, and really just encouraging everybody in that community because they're all at different stages of their journey. And it's a complete comparison-free zone. That is like the number one rule of our WhatsApp group, no comparison. But it is really designed to give you all those marketing essentials around creating your brand, social media content, building your funnel, growing your list. And so to enroll in that program, I'll link to it in the show notes. It's an incredibly competitive price for the fact that you get lifetime access and me as your digital marketing coach in your pocket, quite literally. But I'm excited to also let you know that given that we are a day away from Black Friday, so if you're listening to this in the future, this episode is going out on the 22nd of November with Black Friday kicking off this Friday, the 24th, I am launching a special offer for the Thriving Biz Club. So that is £100 off the course price, the access to the program, which also bags you a bonus one-to-one strategy call with me worth £147 additionally. So if you've been hearing about the Thriving Biz Club, you've been thinking about, leveling up in your marketing, especially as we head into 2024, we have our monthly co-working and coaching calls. So we've got that happening in December. We're doing January planning, really to hit the ground running as wellness business owners in January, not be sort of waking up in the new year going, oh, what am I doing? What are my goals? You'll have that all sorted and ready to roll. And as quick as you want to work, your system set up, your funnels, growing your list, etc., all ready for you. So yes, make sure if you are interested in the Thriving Biz Club that you check that out because that offer is going to end on the 30th of November. So be quick. That's a week-long Black Friday special in November of 2023. And if you're listening in the future and the time has passed, just know that you will absolutely still be getting an amazing price for the Thriving Biz Club. This is just a little extra Brucey bonus just for some of you that have maybe been sitting on the fence. And as I say, on the show notes, you can read more, you can see other biz clubs, testimonials, all sorts of things, and really just, get all your questions answered about whether or not this is the right program for you. So I hope this episode has inspired you today to take action with your digital marketing and really just to level up and leverage the power of online. Nowadays we have got, this incredible opportunity to access millions of people from around the world, literally for free. For free. we're not having to pay for this. We can use social media platforms. We can use, very inexpensive technology to really nurture our audiences, to build that community. And I'm just so passionate about the power of creating multiple earning streams. Yesterday, I was sitting in the car when my daughter was at her swimming lesson, and literally I had 3 emails ping in. One was, a referral fee payment for someone who I'd recommended Flowdesk to. Another was a PayPal for one of my low-cost, low-ticket item downloads that I have. Another one was for somebody signing up for the Thriving Biz Club. That was all passive income where I did the work once and I'm being paid for it over and over again. So, all those things really and truly add up. And even if you're sitting in a day job right now and you're thinking, right, how can I do all these things? How can I learn how to do this? This is where the Biz Club is there to support you and empower you to get all these things sorted. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you create. Do hit me up with any questions that you may have. Drop into my DMs over on Instagram. And of course, please share this episode far and wide to help and inspire other incredible wellness business owners with their marketing, or any business owners for that matter. And I cannot wait to see everything that you create with your business in 2024. Until next week's episode, I'll speak to you soon, lovely. Take care. Thank you for joining me for today's episode. If you've got value from this, please won't you take 2 seconds to take a screenshot and share a pic of this episode on your socials. Extra points if you'd like to rate and review this podcast on your preferred platform so that we can share the love with more women wanting to thrive in their lives. Do be sure to visit my website, wendygriffith.co.uk, to get all my free resources to support you on your thriving journey. Until next time, God bless, take care of yourself, and keep thriving.